Well, considering my dog would not be quiet in the previous intros, we figured we would just include her. So on this episode of the Late Night Startup Show, we were speaking with Sam and Charlie of Goodwipes. They create a flushable butt wipe that leaves nothing behind. It's a really interesting business and a great conversation. But first, we got to thank our sponsors, of course, RCR Video Marketing Group, an Atlanta-based, multifaceted video production company creating compelling content to fast forward your business, and Digits in Motion. Digits in Motion is a full-stack digital agency. You've heard me talk about them before. They're great at what they do. If it's developing an app or creating websites, if you need to augment your current staff for a big project or create a product from the ground up, Digits in Motion can help you grow your business today. So thank you to our sponsors, but now let's get into the conversation we had with Goodwipes. Let's get straight into it. I want to figure out why you guys exist and where this idea came from, and get into the nitty gritty, for lack of a better term, of Goodwipes.
Why I exist is 29 and a half years ago, plus 2 or 3 days. My mother, Sandy Nebel, and Michael Nebel,
happy belated half birthday.
Thank you. Had sexual intercourse and
The
gave
birds
birth
and the
to
bees.
me. Yeah,
right?
birds and the bees.
Okay, gotcha.
And then I was, 9 months later or so, I was born C-section. Probably similar story to you.
Same,
I don't want to.
same.
Yeah.
C as well, for sure.
I have a different type of story, but I won't get into it.
Okay. I love it. And then how did we jump from, being born to
To
Goodwipes?
Goodwipes,
Yes, is maybe what you're wanting to know. Was in college, Charlie and I. So we'd always been lifelong baby wipe users. It's the only way to wipe your butt. Refused to use toilet paper all our lives growing up. And in college, we had success, long story short, converting all the guys that were in our fraternity house to wiping their butts with baby wipes too. Mind you, Charlie and I didn't know each other in college. We didn't know anyone in the fraternity when we were pledging. So this was the first couple weeks in, and we had these big, huge bags, like 3-pound bags.
Yeah. So you guys didn't know each other at all?
We did not.
We didn't know each other.
We did not.
Okay.
And so we kind of bumped shoulders in the bathroom.
Yeah.
One afternoon, we were both kind of smuggling in these big bags, like
this. Yeah.
Of
Different
wipes
company,
into this
but
fraternity house.
Yeah.
We're freshmen, we're pledges, we don't know anybody, and it was kind of like this old style fraternity house, like high level of hazing.
Yeah.
And it was just low hanging fruit. And we bumped shoulders, and he's like, "Dude, you use baby wipes too?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, for sure." And he's like, "All right, cool." And I'm like, "Do we have to keep this a secret?"
How'd you find out that he used baby wipes?
Community bathrooms. We're both like holding this big ass bag of wipes,
yeah.
and it's like, "Yo, you too?" And I thought we were gonna keep it under wraps, and Sam was like, "No, we're gonna go on a crusade and can try to convert these kids." And within about 30 days, we had all 50 guys in the house wiping and using baby wipes.
So so let's say I'm a kid that's a skeptic. Like I'm like, you're not going to convert me.
We know your type. We know your type.
Yeah. What would your pitch be?
Yeah, prime suspect. I mean, you're the best.
Yeah, and that's why we started the company, because there are so many people like you that once we push and we say, "Oh, you got to try it," we're not shy to be pushy, especially about something that we're so passionate about. It's life changing. And so when we get into this little song and dance, you try it out. Maybe it takes you a couple times. We push, we get pushed back, and then once you wipe, you can't go back. You can't go back to toilet paper. And really, the funny part is how we really knew is because in this old, not so clean community bathroom, there were 2 stalls that didn't have bathroom doors on them, and those were the ones that I typically opted to poop in. Were that one.
Sure.
So, and then everything I'm doing is pretty much in the open.
The ones without the doors?
Yeah.
The ones without the doors.
Was that like your marketing?
Well, it was
just
just kind of like it's easier. You feel so you feel like you're in a jail cell when there's a door on. You know what I mean? So,
it's kind of part of your personal brand almost.
Personal, yeah. Gotcha. From that time, that was 10 plus years ago.
Gotcha.
So,
well, right off the bat, I want to swing big. What's the difference between Goodwipes and baby wipes?
Want me to hit that?
you hit it. I hit it out of the park. Home run, he said. So
a home run, yeah. So Goodwipes are made up of a few key pillars, good ingredients that are good for you, and made out of awesome substrates and materials that are good for the earth too. So those are two pillars that you always have with Goodwipes.
Yeah.
And then they're also backed by a killer social mission. We believe that we are in a consumer democracy. We're here to serve our consumers, empower them with products that they can fit into their lifestyle and be proud to stand next to. And with our partnership with the New Story, they're able to do that, and they're also able to feel safe that they're using products that are good for them. So,
and to add, the other problem with baby wipes that a lot of people don't recognize, including these, even though these are new, nice and pretty and thick, and these are fragrance free too, the Honest wipes. Baby wipes are not flushable, so they're meant to be like very sturdy because I don't have a kid, but. Yeah. And yes, in the fraternity house, we may or may not have flushed the baby wipes we were using at the time, but baby wipes are not meant to be flushed. So, and they smell like it's meant for a baby's ass.
Sure.
So.
Gotcha. So what about marketing the difference though? Because I would assume that a lot of people say, oh, I would just use baby wipes. Why spend the money on good wipes when you can just pick up baby wipes?
Sure.
You guys kind of explained it, but I'm just saying like.
How do you know?
I'm
right.
trying to put myself in the shoes of like the ultra skeptic.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
there
really a difference?
Yes. I think that it's part of that process where we have X number of ultra skeptics. Let's say out of 100 people, 96. These are true or pretty close to accurate. Yeah. 96 don't even really realize that there's an option to be wiping their butt with something cleaner. So if we can get a hold of those people, then I don't know what the percentage is of people who would say, oh, I'd rather just use baby wipes. But we can say, wait a second, here's something that's cooler, more shareable, more on brand with you. The social mission that Charlie was talking about, individually wrapped, fragrance, flushable. And usually I feel like once we hit in with that series, that sequence of points, we're able to grab that person. Now, of course, there are always going to be super price sensitive people that would, I don't know another analogy, but that would just rather be like, oh, I don't really care. I'll just do the baby wipes. And that's fine. We don't want that customer. Yeah. So I'm lying. We do, but we're not going to lose sleep over it.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think that's a good point.
Sure.
For like fellow entrepreneurs is realizing that not every customer is a good customer. Sure. I think in business, we all kind of have this idea of that the customer is always right. But
yes.
Is that true? Or what's the difference between a good customer and a bad customer in business?
Yeah, I don't think that the customer is always right, but I do think as business owners, you have an obligation to ensure that they're satisfied within the interaction. And then so if it leaves maybe a sour taste in your mouth, or maybe it's a business situation where it's not profitable for you, or you spent too much time on it, I still feel like you have that obligation to make that person happy, but then it's perfectly okay to kind of walk away from that business.
Yeah.
We started off doing a lot of trade shows, a lot of mom and pop shops, a lot of great businesses, a lot of great small businesses. Yeah. We built a lot of great friendships and relationships from that line of business, but it wasn't great for us.
Yeah.
So we don't really do that anymore. We have a couple key accounts there, but that was something where we had to quote unquote, fire customers to do what's best for the business and get the product in front of as many people as possible.
What does that look like when you're going through that decision to fire customers? Is it a tough decision to make or scary?
I think for us, we probably hung on to it maybe a little bit longer than we should have.
That is accurate. I'll raise my hand there. That's me.
So yeah, I think for us, we were just ready. We knew. I mean, we were spending so much time. A lot of these shops, they were seasonal. They were in places where people would travel for the summer or for the winter. So seasonal, limited hours, and the product was selling, but maybe for a couple of days a week for a couple months out of the year. And so the relationship on the B2B side was, hey, the product's doing well in the store, but our question is, it doesn't really seem like it. You guys aren't ordering that much. So we would end up having to spend so much time customer service with these and trying to get receivables going with these accounts that didn't really bring that much to the table. So for us, we just kind of stopped going to trade shows. We kind of pulled away from some of the communication. And then the good customers that did have good velocity and volume, they've stuck with us through the years. But we just kind of quit going after that line of business.
Okay, gotcha. But when you first started, how did you even get into the trade shows, or what was your plan? You knew that you wanted to create Goodwipes, right?
Yes, and then after that, there was no plan.
There was no plan
at all.
Yeah,
to start. Yes.
What does that look like?
So we were seeking help.
Help financially for funding, or just
like, hey, what's the next step? Okay. Like, what is the next step? We want to do this. We want to do this with the butt wipes for men, for women. We got all this feedback. We had these samples, body wipes. Where do we sell? How do we go about doing it? And we met. We were linked up with a guy who started a company called Corksicle. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're badass, huge. This guy is a terrific businessman. And he sat down with us and he said that he had a lot of success going to these trade shows, America's Mart in Atlanta, here in Atlanta, and New York Now, and suggested, he's like, hey, try and scrape up, $7,000 or something and go. We didn't have $7,000. I don't know how much we spent, but we did a lot of manual hacking together. I should say Charlie did a lot of manual hacking together for our first booth. Mm-hmm. We literally had a pillar, like a huge pillar. Think of this round and maybe out another 2 feet, and that it was the weirdest spot. But we did well, and it played to our talents. So we were like, oh, we really like this because we're good at one-on-one communication, selling, and this product everyone liked. So,
and this was in 2014.
2014.
Okay.
So yeah, about a year later, maybe 13 months later, was when we like went to our first trade show. Before that, we did a crowdfunding campaign where our goal was $5,000, I think, and we doubled it.
Ambitious.
$10,000. Which was cool. That helped us get our product here, actually.
Now, when you were doing crowdfunding, was that while you were in college, or were you already doing this full time? Doing Goodwipes.
So Goodwipes, we were always known as the wipes guys throughout college. We got into this brief
college being Georgia Tech, right?
Florida State.
Yeah. Sorry.
We got into this brief period, about 2 years right out of college, doing in the franchise world. We thought we were going to franchise. We raised some money, got approved, and then we ended up doing some consulting with them. And we would launch new stores. They were making a lot of their own products, and that's when we kind of got really bullish on the brand world, that relationship with the consumer, marketing, merchandising. We had saved up a little bit of money, each of us, and enough to kind of start Goodwipes. So 2 years after college is when it actually kind of erupted and lifted off the ground. But we were at this time living off of savings, launching the business off of savings, and we really didn't know what we were doing. We were just very excited, very passionate about trying something new. So the crowdfunding happened a couple years after because there was product on a boat and we didn't have enough money for the final payment installment to get the product off of the boat.
Gotcha.
And we're like, all right, how's this going to happen? So we threw up a crowdfunding campaign and it got us the product.
Okay.
And then we actually drove down to Miami because we weren't really familiar with the importing process, and nor did we have a warehouse. So we rented a U-Haul, drove down to Miami, packed up the U-Haul, and drove back up to Orlando and stored our product partially in my parents' house, and then at like a U-Haul,
like a storage unit.
Yeah, storage unit, climate controlled. Yeah. So everything was safe. Yeah.
I think the most interesting part about picking that product up, it was all very novel for us. The whole process of like, all right, when we go down there, where are we going? Is this a port? Who are we going to talk to? Is it going to be pulled out of a container? Like, what's this whole situation going to seem like? And the boxes, they come out and they just, everything looks a little bit different than we were expecting. And we're loading up the U-Haul, and at the same time, we're kind of opening up the boxes to see what this product looks like.
Yeah.
We were looking at it for the first time. And I think if I were to describe it in one word, it would be embarrassing. We were.
You thought that then, or you in hindsight?
Oh, but then and now.
Really? Okay.
We were so pumped. We were telling everyone, "Hey, we're getting the product. First round of inventory," and it was just awful. We were. I think it was right before Thanksgiving, or you had someone graduate Passover.
Passover. My whole family came over, and I honestly
we didn't show anybody.
We didn't show anybody. It was and everyone was like, Sam, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, well, I'm doing this. And like, oh, you should talk more about it. This is cool. Like one of my cousins was talking about, she was like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. I could use, this type of product. And I was like, oh, and that's not how we are. So it just like completely disconnected us from who we are. We're like, no, we like to push this. We want to promote this. And we were sitting here with a product that The product was fine. It was great, but the packaging.
The packaging,
was not.
It was so bad.
It was so bad.
So did you guys just lock it up and forget about it, or did
We
you?
had to sell it.
We had to sell it.
We didn't have a choice. We had to kind of own it. I think we were a little particular who we would show it to.
Yes.
You know, if someone kind of felt uncomfortable, we wouldn't really try to sell them too hard on it. It wasn't horrible. A lot of people like the story.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times in the early stages, people are betting on the jockey, not so much the horse. And even in that kind of B2B sales relationship. So they saw our passion behind it. They heard our story, why we were doing it.
Yeah.
And they were able to sell that to their customers. So
Gotcha.
I think that kind of won us for a little bit.
Yep.
Gotcha. I think there's something to unfold in that, though. You know, when you get your first product in,
Right.
and you see the packaging, and it's not exactly what you envisioned, or as soon as you open it, it's kind of an instant disappointment.
That instant disappointment.
Instant
Like,
disappointment.
instant disappointment.
I think they
So
printed
weird.
like all of it on a digital printer, and so like we said, hey, let's do it matte, but it didn't have a finish on it, so the ink was literally coming off of the boxes. So the guys' stuff at the time, they were gray boxes, and like all the corners were white, just because it was like rubbing all over the place, and then the logo was it was like smeared all over the place, and then the sachets, they were kind of like tilted a little bit, and it was.
It was scary. Like
yeah. It wasn't a great product.
Disappointing, embarrassing, scary.
Yeah.
We were out of money.
Mm-hmm.
So living in my parents' house, great food. Dinner menus were on point. But other than that, it was,
Yeah.
you know.
So you were out of money, and I mean, you knew you had to sell. Walk me through being out of money and like feeling like, okay, there's no other option at this point, and getting through that kind of embarrassment of selling it.
Well, we're used to that feeling. It's not pleasant, but because of our passion and persistence and belief in what we're doing and the opportunities, and now the consumer feedback, you just kind of power through. But the first time you're out of money, when you're used to not being out of money, I don't know any negative word that you could describe. It's terrible. But
I also think that there's, like, for me at least, there's a little and I would say for you too, there's a little bit of nurture there, of confidence. I think both of us, like for me, I have the self-confidence or the belief that if this didn't work, or if we weren't able to sell the products, that we would be able to make it happen. I think that is also built though from experiences, having kind of that failure cycle, which we experienced in college with like nightlife promotions and stuff. And then before we did the franchise stuff, I remember we were managing a market for a franchisee as we were kind of building our arsenal and our skill set to go do it on our own, and we were making shit for money. And there was this period of a few months where we weren't employed, as we were going to go up to corporate to help with the new launches. And I remember we were going up there, and they were like, "Oh, these guys, like, yeah, we had raised money, but not like for us. We had raised money for these units." And we were going up there, and everyone's like, "Oh, like, these two young guys are really ambitious. They're going to open a few stores." And we're used to living, this like lifestyle where we are making money, or we're being supported through college, thankfully. I remember, I think we went up there. I had this like shitty little Nokia phone. It was broken. I couldn't afford it. It was like a pay phone from Walmart. I think it was like $25. Couldn't get a new one. And I had $37 in my bank account. And they weren't going to pay us for two weeks. And I was too scared at that time to be like, hey, like, can we expedite our first paycheck or something like that? So we're having all these introductions with, like, we're working really closely with the CEO and the president of this company, and we're leading these new franchisees in their store openings. And I think Sam maybe had like $100 or $150. And I remember I had $37, and we're just shopping. We're like, all right, how are we going to make this work? They were putting us up. So we had a place to stay, and they gave us a car, but we barely had money to eat. And that for me was like, for me, that was uncomfortable being around other people. I didn't feel like that empowered. And I felt that it was a little bit like putting on like a show almost. But I think I think that they're like, to unpack that, you have to do that like in entrepreneurship oftentimes, is kind of be that fearless leader, where you're charging forward even when you don't know how things are gonna unfold.
Right. And to add to, like, I think also for me on a personal level, Although now at this point in the life cycle, I think it's really imperative for us. We have a business that's working, that's running. We need to be funded on the business side as like a duty to our customers, people who love the product. So now it's not just about us. It's about people expect this and demand it. So we need to have everything right for them. And for us, it's time that we, kind of get out of that a little bit too. But I think for me on a personal level, it's character building, and I probably like needed it. And whether I did or not, it happened, and it's, sustained. So, you kind of have to deal with the reality that you're in at the moment. So
yeah, totally. Well, what's been the biggest challenge so far for Goodwipes in growing that business?
I mean, definitely financial capital, definitely internal capacity. So our capacity as a small team of, I was telling you earlier, 3.5 people, but we're bringing on 2 interns this summer, which is going to be awesome. We're people persons,
which is good.
And I think once our team, like if we were to fast forward a year and 2 years and we have more people on the team, I think we're going to feel that we're flourishing like we never have before, just because our natural momentum a lot of times is by being around people and leading people and teamwork. But I would say, I mean, just like easy speak is money and people. And there's more if you want to add. I mean,
yeah, I mean, the most challenging, like on, I think it's for us, it's cash flow. It's capacity in general, human capacity, financial capacity. We lean heavily into mindset. Okay. I think that's oftentimes the variable. I think you have to have patience, tenacity, and tolerance for this to work. It takes a long time and it's hard. You're leveraging a high level of risk. For us, I think that there's a lot of things that we could kind of get hung up on. I was thinking last night coming into this, I was like, what if he asked us about like our biggest failure? And it's really hard for me to register. I mean, like every day, like things aren't going as planned. We're putting out fires. We're eating shit every single day. But I think that I really think that things happen like for us, not to us. And I think they're just like, it's just part of the story. So we don't really get caught up on I don't know, like yes, there's challenges but that's all in good faith and good intent of wanting to grow faster and do more and serve more.
It's the mindset going into those challenges and coming out of those challenges more than it is the challenge itself.
Yes.
Right?
Totally. Like I think if you have a lot of self-pity, or you're always like positioning yourself as the victim, like you just totally lose. You can't do this if that's the case.
Yeah, you can't come back from a failure or something. So, and I think a lot of it is, excuse me, honesty and being honest with yourself and taking responsibility for decisions, which I will be so honest with you guys right now that this is something that is a newer school of thought for me, but I'm really bought into it and it just makes me feel so it's kind of along the same lines as what Charlie was saying with things happen for us. A lot of what's like everything that we do or a lot of things that we do are because of decisions we've made. So if it's a cash flow issue, is that something because we could have done this or this better? But just knowing that we made these decisions and coming to grips with that instead of blaming someone else, I feel like it's actually empowering internally, and then say, okay, so then you make the decision, and us as a team, we make the decision to then take the next step forward and get out of it. So I think it's actually empowering. So I feel like that mindset over the past few months has served me more than saying like, oh man, I can't believe this is happening. Even though I do say that, I said that yesterday in our 2:00 meeting. I was like, man, what? But if we take the responsibility to work on those things, I feel like it empowers us to move forward.
Totally, yeah. I mean, if you're going to be the owner, you have to own everything. So
yes,
the
correct.
Good, the bad,
yes,
everything goes along with that.
And there is a lot of Randall. I have to say, I have to plug us a bit. There is a lot of good going on here, guys, so
totally. But as an entrepreneur, it's easy to focus. I say easy, but that's probably the wrong word. But as far as focusing on the bad and those things that need to improve, it's easy to fall into that trap.
Yes.
Of not taking the time to look at the bigger picture and say, you know what, things are actually going okay.
Sure, that is correct. That is correct.
Decent. So, how do you guys manage that? I mean, are you ever like knee deep into a problem and realize that, okay, look, let's just take a step back and take a big deep breath and realize where we actually are? Or, is there a certain process you guys use to manage any big hurdle, or is it just kind of you wing it and just follow your gut?
Yeah, I don't know if it's definitely not a process.
Yes.
I think the process is just to do the work.
Okay.
For me, it's definitely I'm definitely a little bit more introverted than Sam. Before I talk about things, I like to know where I'm at with it mentally first.
Gotcha.
So sometimes I'll step away.
Yeah.
And I'll get a good pulse, and then I'm ready to act quickly. Sam likes to kind of talk through things a little bit more.
Yeah.
But even with that, it's usually just kind of head first. Let's knock it out.
Yeah.
We don't really let things sit around and linger for a while. If it's a point of contention or there's a big hiccup or anything of that nature, it's the first thing on the list.
Okay, gotcha. Well, one thing that we haven't really unfolded much on our podcast is hiring that first person to come in. There's a lot of people that we talk to that are it's them and their partner, and they never really expand more than that as far as personnel goes. So how did you guys know you were ready to bring on that first employee?
Maria G, the hustle bee. It was very organic, and I think it's a not like a love story like that. It's just like a harmony. It's just harmony. And we met her here in the lobby of Switchyards, and we needed help on a couple projects. The capacity was very limited. Everyone else was doing design. We were stuck on copy, and we approached her and had a discussion. And
let's be clear.
Yeah,
you poached her.
I poached her. Yeah, she was working with another company that kind of worked out of Switchyards, and I knew that, and I just walked up and said, I was like, "Hey, what are you doing? And what are you doing? Do you do copy? Are you good at copy?" And she was like, "Yeah." And then we brought her up to the office the next day, or I gave her the package, and I was like, "I'm going to email you this. What's your email?" I emailed her something. Then she just started coming up in our office. This was 2 years ago, and we just continued this rhythm. And then as projects came up, she would pretty much every week be working with us. And then we were staying till like 1 a.m. together, and it felt very natural and fluid. And then we got a couple months later accepted to a startup accelerator in Cincinnati, and we all knew that she felt part of the team. And we said, "Hey, listen, if we get accepted, we would be honored if you would move up to Cincinnati with us and join our team full time." And we were lucky enough that she agreed, and we moved up there, and the three of us lived in an apartment together, and that was pretty much it. And she's, I would say, on a human level, one of the best things that's happened to us in the past for sure. Our lives, even just, not just Goodwipes, but Goodwipes kind of is our life, but in the past couple of years. So she is tremendous.
So you guys moved to Cincinnati, and we're all living together in one apartment?
That is correct.
2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
Okay.
One bathroom, teeny tiny bathroom.
Did you ever want to like rip each other's throats out? And
I mean, in Cincinnati, I think we're pretty good. I think definitely having Maria being very new to the team, there's kind of like that. There's that romance of like any relationship, like you meet like a friend for the first time, like everyone's just kind of like there to serve and like kind of feel people out. I think it was good that she was there, because it was definitely a very like fast-paced, stressful environment. But having there as kind of like a sounding board, I think helped a lot. And having just that new perspective, it's always good to kind of get pulled out a little bit.
I think also just for interpersonal dynamics, and I'm certainly no expert, but I think it was very good to have and I don't know what like the scientific name, I don't know if you want to say yin and yang or whatever, but it was good to have like these two intense guys, very intense, like this means the world to us, and then a female presence come in. I think helped soften things a little bit to a degree. Don't get it twisted, she'll punch you in the mouth if she needs to, so like she's no softie, but I think it relative to it just like it balances out a little bit.
So is it more important to hire someone that strengthens your weaknesses, or someone that puts the emphasis on your strengths? Does that make sense?
In my opinion, it's weaknesses. But it's the intent is for us to lean into our strengths and to kind of backfill any deficiencies. Yeah. So I mean, Sam's a great copywriter, but he also, we're running the business. So she's very creative, does a lot of copywriting.
Fantastic
copywriter, and it's good. She kills it. So there's a lot of other stuff too, but we needed more capacity at that time. We didn't have the capacity to get these pitch decks together, to push out different campaigns, and she was able to knock out and execute quickly.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think for the hiring it's context based. It's very contextual. It's very project based. Where are you at in the life cycle of your business? She was the perfect fit and is the perfect fit for where we're at right now. As we get more established, and it's like we can start hiring for roles. I don't know when that time is going to be, but really sorting out the organizational structure of the company. But we're not there yet. So it's just team, fun, energy, talent, and hustle.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. So
thank you.
You're selling butt wipes.
We are selling butt wipes,
and then you also have vagina wipes.
We do have So down there we call them down.
We
there.
have front butt and back butt.
Yeah. You can do it all with this. It's really true.
The down there.
The down there.
Yeah, I was reading this. The how we roll, perfect for periods is the first thing on there.
That's true.
Untrustworthy restrooms, bars, exercise festivals, porta potties, work, at home, nights out, travel. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So should we just carry this in our pockets all the time?
100%.
Absolutely. Here we go. Individually wrapped. They go
where you go. It's easy.
So those, and then for the men, we have the same thing.
So was it weird selling both towards men and women? Did you have to differentiate the marketing campaigns quite a bit, or was it more of Goodwipes in general?
Marketing varies slightly. Products vary slightly. So there's different pH for the gals than the guys. And then tone of voice is slightly different. Mm-hmm. But I think, the biggest thing for us is we want to put a smile on somebody's face. We want to do the job that we're trying to do, put a smile on somebody's face, whether it's through humor or encouragement. Okay. So it's pretty similar for everybody. But I think there's kind of inside jokes that we lean into for different guys and gals. And a lot of it's making fun of the other sex and stuff like that. So it's all fun natured, and we have a good time with it.
Yep.
It sounds like you guys are just 100% yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I
authenticity
that,
is
yeah.
I was talking. I think we did a bunch of interviews last week, and people were kind of asking us about the brand and all that stuff. I think that a brand only works and truly only works if it's a direct representation of the people that are breathing it, the people that are behind it. So I think if we weren't authentic and we were trying to be somebody else through this brand, we would fall short of the brand's potential, and also in serving our customers and consumers.
Yeah,
that's great.
I was just talking to Hollis today, a friend who owns a company called Montaigne Sparkling Water, and I was driving in to work this morning, and I saw an ad or billboard for Bubbly. It's a new sparkling water from Pepsi, and I think the marketing is garbage. I feel like it's inauthentic. I love their company. I like Coca-Cola better, of course, Atlanta, but I love their company. I love the CEO of Pepsi. I think she's one of the best, at least front-facing CEOs, and probably performance too. I don't know, but I just think the marketing is so inauthentic, and the voice and everything. And I don't know if it's going to work or not. But and then I thought of Hollis, and it's it's just much more. It just feels much more authentic, where he's going to these different stores. He's talking to consumers. Montaigne is bold. And I think that's just an example of how even a big company with hundreds of millions of dollars behind it launches a brand, but it doesn't feel right to me, at least. And
it gets seen as a brand, right?
Yeah,
it's just another name under their umbrella versus a company that actually means something with faces behind it.
Right, exactly.
Want to mean something.
Yes.
100%. What about the early entrepreneurs that look at the brands like Bubbly and Pepsi and Coke, and they try to be too big too early? Maybe that's in marketing. Maybe it's just in what they say on their website. How do you make sure to stay authentic throughout scaling your business?
I think you don't think about it. I think you just do you. I think, if you start thinking about what other people are going to think, you're thinking about it too much.
Yeah.
Like when you're talking about, when you're advertising, there's different call to actions, there's psychology, there's a lot of testing, iterating, and you're moving quickly, but the brand and kind of the breadth of the voice, I don't think there's time to think about it. I think it gets diluted with, input that's unnecessary.
Yeah. It's like if you're thinking about it, then you're thinking about it too much.
Yeah. I think it's just go.
Yeah.
Just, what do you call, like, below the belt, what do you call them down there? And those are just things that we would say.
Yeah.
Like for when you can't shower, or you're showering a wipe. That was just like, this wasn't, your showering a wipe wasn't always on the box, but that's what we found ourselves saying in communication. People liked it, so we put it on the box. That's just how we do it.
What would be your one tip to give any entrepreneur? Well, the biggest tip, and honestly, a lot of these get cliche. I ask this a lot.
Sure.
Which I don't mind the cliches, because if, I always say, if they wouldn't be cliches if they weren't true.
Yeah.
But just one, what's the one tip you would give to a new startup?
There are like thousands.
Yeah. I mean, I can run with it, or
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, it's trust the soup, and it's trust the process. Kind of believe in what you're doing. I think that oftentimes we underestimate what we can do, and we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 5. We think we can do so much so quickly, and it's not true. But kind of to your point, when you take a second and look back, it's like, oh, this is actually net positive. We've come a long way in the past few years.
Yeah.
So if you have that belief and understanding going into it, I think it's very important. And then kind of to trusting the process. You have to nail your daily process, and it can change and it can iterate, and it needs to, or you'll fall behind. If you're following somebody else's process or something that's happened for these years in the past, like, you're going to lose. You have to innovate and charge forward, but you have to have systems that you rely on day in and day out, so that when the shit hits the fan, you can still check the boxes and say, hey, I'm doing what's going to get me to the next step. So understanding that the results are a byproduct of the process. If you can learn to master the process and trust that, you can then master the results.
Yeah.
I think, in a word, balance, and I don't just mean like, work-life balance, but I feel like there are a lot of maybe cliches out there or principles that people will push. So maybe you have Barbara Corcoran saying, like, you should be watching your competitors 24/7. I'm not saying she said, just example. And then what if Damon John on the same panel says, like, don't, on Shark Tank, don't pay attention to your competitors, just do you. Yeah. I have always found, for me, in almost every facet of the business and managing myself, is just kind of like a healthy balance between the two. So sometimes I like to peek around and poke around at my competitors and see something that they may be up to. But then sometimes I like to just take months and not look at any of them and just focus on what we're doing. And I found that both have actually served me in the right ways at the right time, ironically.
Yeah. So is that just following your gut, though, or are you purposely saying, okay, for these 2 months, I'm going to pay attention to?
No, there's no formula. It's just like intuition.
It's authentic.
It's authentic. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's great. That is great. That's a great time.
Yeah. I mean, authenticity is, in these days, I mean, it's the only way to do business to me. I mean, that's why we kind of started the Late Night Startup, and why we love video production, is because even if we're doing a video for a big brand, we want to put, the face there and the real story front facing of that brand. For sure. And we try to, we sit with executives of billion-dollar companies and say that to them, and then we sit with small startups and say that to them. It holds true no matter what stage you're in, is to be authentic. It comes off as more real. It's not even a sales tactic either. And I think a lot of people get not confused, but they can mistake being authentic with that's their marketing. It's like, we just have to market authenticity, when really even thinking about it that way is so authentic.
Can't do it that way.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah.
It's weird, this entrepreneurship world that exists these days, because there is just such a level of small startups that run the community, and then there's huge companies that are very good at marketing authenticity, even though they're really not that authentic either.
Sure.
Well, anything else? Any last words you want to add, or anything that we should know about Goodwipes and the front and back butt?
I think I'm hoping that if you're watching this, then you're old enough to know the front butt and the back butt. You can use these. And then for the gentlemen, below the belt wipes, back butt, and then whatever you want to call everything in between.
And for anyone just listening and not watching, we have Goodwipes down there, which is more for the ladies, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then we have Goodwipes below the belt.
Yes.
So if your eyes aren't on the screen and you're just hearing it, that's what you need to look up.
Yes. Would it be inappropriate to allow the audience to know where they could purchase if they wanted to?
Totally inappropriate. Okay. No, I'm kidding.
Tell them.
No,
well,
go ahead.
we agreed before that we wanted some inappropriate.
Yeah, exactly. No. Yeah, we need to say where you can purchase this and also just how to communicate with you guys, social media and all that stuff.
Sure.
Absolutely. Great place to start, www.goodwipes.com. You could also go to Amazon.com Prime, 2 days to your door. You get any Goodwipes product that you want. You can find the Down There wipes in Walmart and 2,000 CVS stores. So there is a high probability that if you walk into a CVS down the street, you will find these Down There wipes in lavender and shea cocoa.
Yep.
Also, I think Container Store, Academy Sports, you can get our body wipes, and then any CNBC shop, when you walk in the airports, you can get Goodwipes as well. And you can follow us on the social medias at Goodwipes, which is GOODWIP as in panda, E as in elephant, S as in Sam.
You just came up with all that right now, right?
Right now.
Yeah,
I've never said that before.
Never said it before. Well, I know we were kind of closing out, but I kind of want to dive into real quick getting into these stores and what that conversation looks like. You know, there's a lot of tech companies and a lot of service companies that we talk to, but as far as actual physical product and getting that into stores and competing with the other, your competitors, the baby wipes. Walk us through that a little bit, getting into the stores.
Well, I'll say getting into the store is certainly the easy part.
Which is still hard.
But I think so. We have a core value here to make any relationship a friendship, and that's just how we look at business. And it's simple. We do the work. We go after things that we want, and we do it with good intent, trying to make a friend. So for Walmart, CVS, it's a lot of it is sometimes with brokers, but a lot of times our sales cycle it's cold calling. Whether it's we're cold calling the buyer, someone that works for the company, someone that knows somebody that works for the company, then we're getting product in the hands of somebody, then we're starting the conversation. Like Walmart took us 18 months. It was an 18-month sales cycle. We're getting a little bit better at it now that we know who to look for, how to talk to them. We know the language a little bit more. But I mean, in the early days, it was we were going to trade shows and just like face to face in a room with people. I think there's also something to say about the level of preparation that we would put in. Before we did our first Walmart pitch, which we didn't get the deal on that pitch. I mean, I think we probably prepared over 100 hours for that 30-minute meeting, at a minimum. And it shows. And we didn't know exactly what we were doing, but we felt good about where it was going, and we were just committed to doing the work.
I would like to give us a slap, because when we were talking about earlier, you feel a lot of things are negative. So I'm thinking of, man, like we didn't get in, or we have so many pitches to get to and all that stuff. But we did a couple years ago when we were presenting to Publix. I'm like reflecting on something cool that we were complimented on, although we didn't get in, and I really want to get into Publix because that's where we grew up shopping. But she complimented us and said that it's very clear that we prepared, and I don't want to throw any other large companies in the bus, but just like that it appeared as if like we cared more or prepared more than huge multi-billion-dollar companies, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Even though we didn't, get the deal. So,
well, the sense I get is that you do. I mean, you legitimately do care, probably more than these other companies.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Sam and Charlie, thank you so much for joining us and giving us this insight. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you guys for having us. Appreciate it.